Happy Eclipse Day. I tried to go live a few minutes ago and it said my connection was too weak. And so I'm wondering, like, for real, is the eclipse like messing with signal? As you come on here this morning, would you say hello and tell me where you're coming from and tell me what's happening with the eclipse in your area? I'm in Kansas City. We are on the path of totality, which Mr. Magic and I were talking about last night. I really don't like how that sounds. The path of totality. I mean, it sounds like death and mayhem. The path of totality. So we are on the path of totality. St. Joe, Missouri is about 30 minutes north of us and right there on the path. And so we are supposed to be getting a bird's eye view of it today, but it is very cloudy out right now, like very cloudy. And it was raining in parts of Kansas City and I'm like, oh man, what's happening? Right? It's storming where you're at in Kansas City, Leslie. I'm sorry. Hey, Leslie in Nebraska. I will be driving through Nebraska on Wednesday. I'll be going through Omaha. So hey, in Tennessee. So I'd love to know what you're doing for the eclipse. And if this gets broadcast gets broken up, we're going to blame it on eclipse activity stuff. I'd love to tell you guys that I'm like super excited, having a party. But I'm just kind of like, well, I'm gonna just kind of get up from my computer and I'm just gonna kind of walk outside and glance at the sky. I know it's supposed to be a big deal, so forgive me, but I'm like, and then I'm just gonna go right back to work. So there you have it. That's my plan. That's my plan. Hi in North Dakota. So listen, I want to talk about something today that I've talked a little bit to the women in my coaching group about. Doesn't matter if you have a business or not, my friends. This is something that we as women especially struggle with, and it's feeling average, feeling like everybody else is getting ahead, feeling stuck, feeling like we don't really have, a big enough story or platform or anything to make a difference. And so I want to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about it over coffee. I also would just like to say that I don't know what's happening with my hair, my friends. I tried a new gel. If you guys follow me on Instagram, first of all, major giveaway on my Instagram. So go look it up when we're done. But you'll know that I try out new hair products on my Instagram stories and then I tell you about them. And this gel has held like crazy. It's Blueberry Bliss off of Amazon. And let's see, I washed it Saturday after lunch. So it's still really curly, but a little bit fuzzy. Also, side note, I'm getting my hair colored tomorrow and I'm going a lot lighter. Like a lot lighter, like a Walmart blonde. Yeah, like girl next door blonde. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm hoping it's good. Sylvia, I'm blaming the hair totally on the eclipse. If the puppy has an accident in the house today, it's the eclipse's fault. If the kids act a fool, it's the eclipse fault. Hair fuzzy, eclipse fault. I mean, if a bag of M&Ms finds its way into my mouth, blame it on the eclipse. Blame it on the rain and the eclipse. Okay, so here we go. We ready? Ladies, let's talk. First of all, we're so hard on ourselves. Listen, how many of you, just in a total moment of vulnerability, will admit to times and seasons where you feel like everything is happening for other people and you just feel like you're kind of on cruise control and life is good and you should be really grateful because you don't have anything going horrible, but you don't have anything going fantastic either. How many of you will admit to times, hey, thanks, Leslie, and I'm glad you signed up for the giveaway. How many times, or how many of you will admit to just times when you're like, I know that I should be happy where I'm at, but she's doing so well over here and they're buying a new house over there. And that girl's business is kicking butt and my sales have gone down this month, or along those lines. You need a Jen pep rally every morning. Hey, Holly, thank you. It's my personal conviction in life. Be a cheerleader for women. And so I wanted you to know, you guys, that what I've talked to the women in my coaching group is that this thing of averageness and feeling stuck and feeling lesser than and feeling like everybody else is doing marvelous things and you're not, it's all women struggle with this, okay? All women struggle with this. I don't care at what point your business is at. I don't care how many dollars are in your bank account. I don't care how it appears on social media. I'm telling you, there are times when our internal conflict is strong, okay? Remember that what you're seeing on social media, my friends, is just what people allow you to see. It's often not a great representation of what's going on in their heart and soul. It's just what's going on in front of the public eye, okay? And so I know, let me give you some examples just from my own personal life. And I wrote a blog post on this once when I was going through a little bit of a season of feeling like, well, dang, she's doing amazing, and I'm pretty much got the L. In the words of my teenagers, taking an L. If you don't have teenage boys, you don't know what that means. It's all good. And watching some of my friends, especially in the business world, just freaking kicking butt and feeling like, okay, I'm pushing in all the right places, right? And I gave the women that I coach an example. This is what happened. I was coaching them one month on reaching out to brands. So many of you know that I work very closely with Hobby Lobby. Love that. I work with Pure One. I work with TJ Maxx on occasion. And so there's some big brands that I love working with. So in my coaching group, I was encouraging the women, this is how I want you to reach out to the brands. This is what I want you to say. These are the brands I want you to figure out the brands you're going to reach out to, and I'm going to hold you accountable for it this month. Okay. Because part of coaching involves pushing. And so I was pushing them. Well, because I'm a self-motivated pusher and I push myself, I thought I too will go ahead and I'll take the challenge for the month. But instead of reaching out to 3 brands, I reached out to 13. When you are a type A personality that's really a goal setter, you can't just do 3, you do 13. And so at the end of the month, this is what I do. At the end of the month, I always ask the women that I coach, tell me what your big win was for the month. Because here's what happens as entrepreneurs. As entrepreneurs, we push, foot on the gas all the time. And rarely do we put the car in park and stop and look around and realize, dang girl, I just kicked butt this month. Like I just nailed it. All right. So every month I force the women in my group to put the car in park and see what they nailed. Okay. So at the end of the month, I'm like, ladies, how did you do? You know, you reached out to 3 brands, and I had kept track of all my brands, and I had kept track of how many got back to me. Okay. So at the end of the month, I'm looking through the 13 brands. 2 brands I heard back from that month. 2. And so that was the month when I wrote a blog post on, feeling average and feeling stuck. Because I looked at that list and my propensity was to be super discouraged, my friend, super discouraged. There's times in my career when I look at other people who are doing so well online and I think, gosh, my friend Nicole Walters, she has an amazing story. If you don't know who Nicole Walters is, I interviewed her on a podcast. I'm going to see her at the Business Boutique in November that Christy Wright, Dave Ramsey's people put on. And she has an amazing testimony, of coming out of poverty into a 7-figure business and what God's done in her life. And it's amazing. I mean, her story is amazing. And then I look at somebody like a Lisa Bevere or a Beth Moore, and I'm like, their testimonies are so amazing. They've come out of, these places of struggle. And I don't really have that. I don't really have like some major, testimony. I haven't had like some major thing to overcome. And then I look at somebody like a Jen Hatmaker, whose book is on my giveaway, by the way. And I look at the incredible following she has. And, she's an author, a New York Times bestselling author. And I'm like, and I don't really have like that either. I don't really have like a thing, like a one thing that I'm known for, or like a one claim to fame, or a book on a shelf. Like I don't have that either. And so when I start to look at that sort of thing, then things always go sideways for me. And so that month things went sideways for me. Truth be told, I had 13 brands I reached out to. I heard back from 2, and I started doing the comparison thing. And that's when all of us women get tripped up. And so I'm going to talk about that real quick. Okay, I'm going to talk about 4 things that I know to do, and I had to do them myself that month, all right? When you start going down that pity party path, say that 3 times. Pity party path. When you start going down that path, it takes a lot of self-discipline to seriously put the car in park and reverse. To put the car in park and reverse because you're headed in the wrong direction. All right. And so I want to help you guys by telling you 4 things you can do. Doesn't matter if you're in business or not. Just 4 things you can do when you're comparing your life to other people and you're feeling like they're all whizzing by on the interstate, freaky fast, and you're like putting along in the, who was the guy who had the cartoon? Fred Flintstone. You're like in the Fred Flintstone mobile and they're like in the Porsche. You know what I'm saying? Like when that's how life feels, there's 4 things I do. You ready? Okay. Number 1, whatever you focus on, whatever you feed is the direction that you are naturally, that your life is going to take you in. So that month when I wrote down these 13 brands that I had reached out to, and I had it pinned where I could see it every day as a type of motivation, right? But I was focusing on that too. And my focus turned from focusing on the potential of those brands to focusing on the failure of them not returning my calls. Gosh, thank you guys for whoever just shared that. Oh, Janine, come on back into the inner circle. Seriously, we'd love to have you back. And so, so you need to figure out how to flip your focus, okay? And so there are literally times, friends, I have to take out a pad of paper and a pen and just start writing down the things that I am grateful for. It doesn't have to be incredible, huge things like I'm so grateful for a vacation. It can be I'm grateful for the color of the flowers that are blooming in front of my house right now. I'm grateful for the smell of rain. I'm grateful for how my husband smells when he gets out of the shower. It can be little things. Have you guys read the book by Anne, is it Anne Voskamp? Is that how I say her last name? 1,000 Things. Go get that. She does an incredible job of talking to you about, and she gives stories about how just she has had to find gratefulness in things like when she's doing the dishes in the sink. And you know how sometimes when you're doing dishes in the sink, which a lot of us don't do anymore because #dishwashers, but it's a great story, okay? So she does dishes in the sink and there's bubbles and the sun hits the bubbles in such a way that you can see little like prism rainbowy colors in the bubbles. Like her book does such a good job of taking you through the simple things that we miss, the simple things that we miss. And so remembering that where your focus is at, what you feed is the direction you literally are going to go. List out the things you're grateful for. For those of you who are business owners, list out the things you do kick butt in. Maybe the things that you kick butt in are not affecting millions on social media, but maybe you got an email this week from a lady who you encouraged in your store last week, and you encouraged her to maybe start her own Etsy gig or her side hustle or whatever. And maybe it was exactly what she needed, and her email just tells you how grateful she is, how much your words meant to her, etc. Baby, keep that email, okay? I have a folder on my Microsoft Outlook because I still use Microsoft Outlook and you can't stop me. I know nobody uses Outlook but me anymore. That's okay. And so, but it literally is entitled encouragement. And the reason that I keep things that come like that is because on days when I want to go down that path of a pity party, I can pull out my encouraging emails and just read through how maybe something little that I mentioned in a podcast affected somebody in a good way. Maybe a note that I sent back to somebody who sent me an email touched their heart in a way that made a difference. Do you know how many times people have blessed my socks off by just giving me a word of encouragement when I needed it? And it's my job to pay that forward. And it's your job too. But when people are encouraging you, keep that, okay? Keep that. Focus on the stuff that you want to be feeding. I cannot preach that enough because when you're focusing on what you're lacking, when you're focusing on how everybody else is doing around you, when you're focusing on what you don't have, it's taking you clearly down a path of spiraling into self-destruction and lots of other crapola. Okay, so listen to me when I say that. Think of the areas where you're kicking butt. Think of where you're doing like so amazing. I know I might not have a New York Times best-selling list, but I have 450 women in my coaching group. I've got an amazing group coming to my mastermind in Kansas City in October. I've got a podcast that I love. I have the availability in my life this morning to get up and take a walk and go do Pilates and go get groceries before I even get ready for my day. And I'm just now starting to work. Like I have a lot to be thankful for, and so do you. And so focusing on those things is key, okay? Point number 2, quit comparing. All right, I know you guys have seen, you know, all the memes, but the memes are true, friends. The reason that the memes are good is because they're true. Thank you, Mark and Becky Dixon, for sharing this. I appreciate you so, so much. And so when you are comparing yourself, have you seen that Stephen Furtick meme that says, don't compare your behind the scenes reel to someone else's highlight reel. Or there's the meme that says, don't compare your middle to someone else's ending. I mean, there's a million of those. There's a million of those. You have to remember when you're playing that comparison game that literally people are only showing you online and in social media, you guys, what they want you to see. What they want you to see. This is one of the reasons why I started using the hashtag hot mess years ago. I had somebody write a scathing article about me years ago, about what a hot mess I was. And I thought to myself, okay, I can suck my thumb in a corner for a couple weeks. I can shut down and quit doing this business thing. I can never accept a speaking engagement again. I can curl up into a ball and, devour bags of Hershey's Kisses and hope that it'll eventually get better. Or I can straighten up, take that word hot mess and start just hashtagging the heck out of it. Because you know what? We're all running our own hot mess to some level. Will somebody agree? Will somebody just put it out there? Yep. Every single one of us has our own form of hot mess. The problem is a lot of people just want to hide it. And some of us are more of a hot mess publicly than others who have a hot mess in their marriage. They have a hot mess with their kids going sideways. They have a hot mess in their bank accounts. I mean, we all have hot messes. All right. And so I just started hashtagging hot mess, express hot mess. The funny story. So I was using the hashtag hot mess express. And if you write that down here, let me write it for you. It's going to be backwards. Okay. So hot mess. Oh, you're not going to be able to see it because it's going to be backwards. Write it down and trust me on this. If you write down hot mess express and you look at it wrong, some lady emailed me and she thought that I was saying hot mess sex press. Hot mess sex press. And I'm like, oh, Lord, have mercy. That is a totally different hashtag. We're just going to simplify that to hot mess. We're just going to go ahead and simplify that so nobody gets the wrong idea about what I'm talking about, right? And so if you look at that, it can look like hot mess sex press weathered shed. Yep, right? Yeah, awkward. And so, listen. When you are comparing yourself, literally you are stealing your joy. Theodore Roosevelt had that quote, comparison is the thief of joy, and it's true. And so here's what I talk about a lot in my coaching group to women who have people in their industry. They're comparing themselves. They're feeling lesser than. They're feeling like other people are kicking butt. They're not, or vice versa. And here is what I say, okay? The biblical approach to that is for that person that is kicking booty and your ugly green jealousy monster is wanting to rage, pray for that person. Pray more blessings on that person in the name of Jesus. Pray her business even does better in the name of Jesus. Pray that God expands her platform even more in the name of Jesus. Because what happens is when you're praying for someone, you really have a hard time still looking at them going, yeah, I see what she's doing. Because that's sometimes our natural tendency, isn't to be like, yeah, yep, or can't stand that girl. Who wants to be honest? Who wants to be honest? And can I get some honesty from you guys? And so the way to get rid of that green-headed monster, honestly, is to pray for her and even to publicly congratulate her. Girl, you're kicking butt. Girl, you're kicking butt. I'm so happy for you that you got that TV show. I'm so thrilled for you that you've got a new book. You go, girl, with your bad self. Thank you for leading the way for a bunch of the rest of us. Your talent's amazing, girlfriend. You can make Reese like nobody can make Reese. I'm so happy for you. That will alleviate a lot of the crap and the junk that's going on in your heart. I promise you. It's not going to be comfortable. It may feel a little bit like tithing when you're like, handing over the check, but it's the right thing to do. Okay? The right thing to do is not always going to feel comfortable, my friends. But what it will do is, yes, it will bless the other person, but it blesses yourself. It blesses your own soul. It puts things in alignment in your own life. I promise you. I promise you it does. So applaud them. Envy makes the bones rot. It's something that in my business, I've had to check myself many times because there's times when I feel like, Lord, when's my time? When's my time for X, Y, Z? And that's a dangerous position to put yourself in. Be happy for those other people. Your time will come when God's good and ready, and the timing is perfect, and not a second before them. Okay? And that leads me to point number 3, which is get content. Get content in where God has you at today. Honestly, learning to trust in God's timing is so hard. It's so hard. He is never late, my friends, but he is also rarely early. And it's hard to wait on his timing. I can remember when we tried to adopt for 4 years. For 4 years, you guys, we waited. 2 years we waited to adopt a newborn, and then 2 years we waited to adopt out of the foster care system. I mean, when I'm telling you guys, we spent a lot of Saturdays in training, okay? There was a lot of Saturdays spent, in all the classes, and every year the re-fingerprinting and the re-signing up, and people coming to your house to re-talk to your kids and making sure we were still suitable for an adoption situation, which every year we were. And I was just left going, seriously, Lord, like, what? 4 years is a long time to wait, and we never did get to adopt. And I may never know on this side of heaven why God's answer was no, or maybe it was just no, not yet. I still don't know. I still don't always know if that door in our life has been completely closed or not. There may still be a crack. Who knows? I don't know, but God does. So his answer is always yes, no, or not now. And not now is kind of hard, right? Not now is hard, especially when it feels like, but this would be the right time, God, right? We're going on 15 years in this house, my friends, and I'm like, are you stinking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Lord? The girl who likes change, the girl who loves houses, the girl who's been wanting to move for about 6 years now. But it's funny, every time we try to make a thing, the door shuts. And God's timing so far has just been, not now. Not now. And I don't get it, but he does. And so his delays are not denials. Who said that famous statement? Let me think. And by the way, right now it's raining, which is just really a bummer, especially for all the kids in Kansas City who are trying to see the eclipse today. It's raining at my house. The eclipse is supposed to be, I think, at 1:30ish in Kansas City time, so hopefully it'll clear off by then. We're going to pray for that. So when it comes to being content, seasons matter. I know that in my own life and in my own business, when I was at home raising babies and only able to work in my business for 12 hours a week for the first, 10 years, there were times when I would be like, I am just getting left behind. All these other people are they're just passing me by in my industry. I'm sitting at home changing another poopy diaper. God bless it. I've got another puking child. God bless it. I'm watching Barney for the 100th time today. God bless it. And I'm ready for it to be my time. But I can tell you that when you honor the season that God has you in, and you really stay put where he wants you to, and you give your best, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but when you give your best, to honor the season that God has you in. When he does switch seasons on you, it is amazing what can happen, my friends. God can do in a moment what it could take you a decade to try to put together. I promise you that. So whatever season you're in, if it's pukey, diarrhea, runny-nosed kids today, just know God sees you. You're not forgotten. You're doing important work. And you can be doing other things while you're at home raising those kids, which is what I did. Stay true to the season God's got you in. It's amazing what happens on the other side of that. And the last thing that I've had to remind myself over and over and over, as someone with not a huge testimony, not a New York Times bestseller, not something like one amazing thing in my career, is that God uses average, ordinary people all the time. All the time. He had examples of them all over in the Bible. Okay. And so my job is not to be extraordinary. My job is to be obedient. And your job is the same. Okay. And so for those of you who are feeling like you may never have a platform because you're average, honey, me too. Me too. God can give platforms to whoever he wants. And it doesn't take something spectacular in your life in order for that platform to come, but it does take obedience. And my pastor always says you never know who or what is on the other side of your obedience. And so, oh, bless you guys. Now I'm going to look at my comments here. Sheila says this is exactly what she needed to hear today. Bless you. Risa, Oh, I'm so glad that you got a bunch of peace from my podcast. Did you just listen to the one from Dr. Samantha? My friend Dr. Samantha, who is the brain expert, who talks about, if you guys haven't listened to my last podcast, it's so good. I had several people email me and tell me this was my best one. Dr. Samantha is amazing. She is a licensed psychologist, and she deals with women, especially women entrepreneurs, who are stuck in their business. And a lot of times why we get stuck in business has to do with our money story from growing up, okay? So everybody who thinks, oh, I don't have a money story, or what is a money story? Well, here's a money story. Did your parents argue when they paid the bills every month? Were you raised seriously in an environment of lack where you just rarely had enough? Were you raised in a family where there was a ton of money but zero generosity? Zero sharing. We all have a money story. And it shows up in your business in funny ways. You may get to a certain level in your business where you make X amount and you're comfortable, you're good, and you get to another amount and you completely shut down. Or you get to a certain number on social media and it feels okay, but then you bounce to another number and you're like, what the heck? I am unqualified for this, and you shut down. And so listen to that podcast. It's so good. All right. What else can I help you guys with? Ashley says, Ashley Patterson, this is exactly how you feel with two small kids. It's so hard. Ashley, I started my business 3 months before we were pregnant with Noah. And so literally, when I was 8 months pregnant, I hired my sister-in-law to come paint with me. And she ended up painting with me for over a decade. And I never went back to painting. And so let me just tell you that you can do a little side gig. You can be selling stuff on Etsy. You can have a side hustle. You can start a website. You can be starting social media stuff, even with your kids at home. I think that for some reason we have developed this mindset, and I'm going to tread really lightly with my words here as not to offend someone, okay? But let me tell you something. Most of us were raised with not having a mom sitting on the floor playing with us 24/7. Am I right? Am I right? And so it is... You have time when you have small kids. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. There's times when they're napping. There's times when they've got a play date. There's times when they have to go to a PDO because they're trying to get ready for a preschool to get ready for kindergarten. And so sometimes moms will use kids as a reason as to why they cannot. But the truth is, you don't need to be entertaining your kids 24/7. When you do that, you're teaching your kiddos that the world revolves around them and that you'll put down everything in your life to take care of everything in their life. You rob them of the opportunity to be creative, to think of things that they can do while you're sitting writing a couple of emails. I'm not saying put your kids in front of the TV all day, but I am saying don't use them as an excuse. I see way too many women doing that. You have goals and dreams, but you're also saying, but I've got young babies. Lots of women do this with young babies and still stay home. There are a ton of work-at-home moms in the world. When I was running my business in the beginning, this was before social media. Gosh, I sound like a dinosaur saying that. So there was no Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. There was none of that. So it felt lonely. And I'm going to do a podcast one of these days on how being an entrepreneur can feel really lonely. It was a very lonely period in my life because every mom I knew either stayed home full-time without working or went to another job and her kids were in childcare. I didn't realize there was a whole bunch of me's in the world. I hadn't found them yet because there weren't any platforms for building that community. Does that make sense? It's not a pager, baby. Not a pager. So, all right. What else? How do you get people to share your Facebook posts, asked Dora Fisher, from your business? They like it and comment, but they won't share. Even when I ask, it's so frustrating. Okay, so here's when people are going to share your stuff, Dora. And we've had several people share this broadcast today, and thank you. So watch what I do real quick here, Dora. If this touched your heart at all and you're thinking that this may be something you want to re-listen to next week and you get discouraged, please share this right now. That way you have it on your own Facebook page and you can listen to it later. If you have somebody that you think that this would minister to, tag them on this or share this to them so that they can listen also. So that's one way, Dora. The other way is, and the more authentic way, is to put out content that is so valuable and creates the Me Too factor, okay? So Stephen Furtick was the first one that I heard talk about this. And the Me Too factor basically means that when somebody puts something on social media, it touches the spot in your heart so much, or you can relate to it so much that you read it, or, it's an idea that you want to maybe paint in your house, or a project that you want to do, that you start this feeling like, me too, like, that's so awesome. I want to totally put my name on that. I want to totally make that project. I want to totally, that soup is gorgeous. Me too. They post something that's encouraging, and you think to yourself, yeah, me too. That's my thinking too. So when you get people to get into the me too thinking, they will share your stuff. They will share your stuff. They will share your stuff. So that's how you do it organically. Becca says this was so encouraging. It's been a challenging week for you, Becca. Listen, here's the thing about being an entrepreneur, okay? It is not for the weak at heart. Not everyone is cut out to do it. I'm telling you the truth, because being an entrepreneur is not like this, okay? Being self-employed, doing your own business is way more like this. And if you are not a person who, when you're down here, has the ability to bring your own self back up, the journey will be very difficult. Telling you guys completely up front, because at every level of your business, I love how Joyce Meyer says, new level, new devil. At every level of your business, there's new head junk to go through. There's new people problems. There's new challenges. There's new expenses. There's things that you didn't know when your business was, a couple of levels back. I love how Oprah Winfrey says, you just don't know what you don't know. When you know better, you do better. But so at every level of your business, there's going to be challenges. And at every level, there's going to be dips. And if you don't have the gumption, the wherewithal, what word am I looking for here, friends? To be able to pull yourself back up. The Bible talks about spurring yourself on, and to literally speak to the situation and change your own thinking on things. Owning your own business can be so difficult. So lonely. Hey, thank you, Alicia, for sharing. Bless you. I appreciate you guys. Tamra Dean says you're a stay-at-home mom. You're trying to figure out how to work at home and be a mom too. Tamra, let me give you something that'll bring you some freedom. When people talk about balance, that's just kind of a BS word, okay? So quit striving for balance. Here's what I want you to strive for. Every day is going to look different, okay? Because if you try to work out a schedule of being a stay-at-home mom, raising kids, and you think, okay, I'm going to work when they nap. I'm going to send out emails while they watch their favorite show. I don't even know what shows are on right now. And then as soon as they nap in the afternoon, I'm going to like when you try to do that, I'm going to tell you what happens. Johnny Joe wakes up with diarrhea. Your sister-in-law calls and wants to meet you at the park, which throws off the entire nap schedule. Your computer goes down when the kids are supposed to be napping, and things just go sideways from there. Like, the balance thing is really hard. And so I know for me that when I was raising kids, and again, I ran this business, you guys, and it was a 6-figure business from year 2. So it's not like it was just, doing a nice little, cute little thing. I mean, I started this business 17 years ago. It was paying our bills, okay, for 17 years. And so, but I did it every day. I would just, okay, what can I do today to make sure that I feel at the end of the day when I go to bed, like, I did my job, my duty as a mom first, okay? Because in the hierarchy of things, it is wife, mother, business. Wife, mother, business. That was a non-negotiable for me. So how have I served my husband first? Did I try to do things, that could help support him and being, employed and outside of the house? Today, what did I do to serve my kids today so that they got what they needed from their mother? But then how also have I done something today for my business? In the early years, it was just needing to do something today. And I had to be creative. Sometimes it's the kids are in bed at 9 and I'm working on the computer until 11. Sometimes it's daddy gets home from work at 5 and mama's going to work until 7. Be creative. Be creative and ask for help. My friend Shawna was a godsend to me for years. She lives in our neighborhood. She would take Ava for a couple hours just so I could get some crap done. And that's what Shawna always said, so you can get some crap done. And I would get some crap done. I'll tell you what the advantage of having small kids at home and running a business is. Are you ready? Please listen to this. Please listen to this. You are already in such a stage of multitasking. You can multitask like a multitasking ninja. Nobody can multitask better than a mom with young kids. I mean, think about when you had, one baby you're nursing and you're putting on mascara and you're going over spelling words at the kitchen table at the same time. Am I right? Am I right? And so a multitasking mama is efficient as the day is long if she will switch those skills to her business. If she will switch those skills to her business. If instead of just getting lost in the Pinterest vortex and just, playing on Pinterest for an hour, if she'll just use those multitasking skills to knock some crap out in her business, you can get more done in 2 hours while your babies sleep, I promise you, than someone like me right now whose kids are in school for 7 hours a day. You can get more done in those 2 hours than I can in 7 hours because you're laser focused. You're laser focused. Use that to your advantage. Love you too, Justin Meyer. Let's see. What else can I talk to last night? Kimberly Sminky. You were so ready to give up, feeling so unworthy. Oh, the devil does throw so much behind you. Absolutely. Kimberly, I know our pastor, I'm just gonna massacre this story, so I'm gonna make it as short as possible and as painless on you guys as possible. But I know our pastor gave a sermon one time when he was talking about rockets, since we're on an eclipse day. Oh, by the way, thank you, Jesus, the sun is out, you guys. The clouds broke. I didn't even notice. We're in the path of totality here. I think we've got another hour or two. So glad. But our pastor talked about how a rocket ship, right before they hit, what would it be? Breaking the sound barrier? Somebody who understands NASA type things, help me. So they shake worse than ever before. Right before it hits this thing, so it shake, 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 and then it's like smooth, right? So there is the most tension. There is the most crapola. There is the most everything. There's the most resistance right before you break through that. Right before. And that's where a lot of business owners honestly give up. They're in this, and they think this is a sign that they need to chuck it. They think this is a sign they're not cut out for it. They think this is a sign that this crap is way too hard. And yes, it is. It's hard. It's hard running your own gig. I'm telling you. Not everybody is cut out for this. But most entrepreneurs quit right here, right before they break through that barrier that takes them to the next level. So, Kimberly, bless you, and whatever it is that your business is, you are worthy. Okay. What else? Oh, Julianne, I'm so glad I'm speaking to you. Good deal, girlfriend. Oh, you are so welcome, Robin. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yes, you can still join my coaching program. It's open every day. Hang on, hon. Let me put here's a link to where you can join my monthly group. And for whoever asked, it's $47 a month, you guys, like literally. That is cheap for the amount of, hopefully, encouragement and business strategy that you get from me. So, oh yeah, absolutely, Christine. This is hopefully advice for life, babe, for life. And so there you go, guys. I know I missed 900 comments, and I'm sorry about that. It's hard to go back and look through them. So listen, for those of you who are feeling average, stuck, lesser than, whatever, listen, God doesn't make mistakes, first of all. You're probably exactly where you need to be. But I encourage you to get content with where you're at, to quit comparing yourself to other people. Honestly, look at where you're kicking butt. Focus on those things. Remember that you head in the direction of where you're focusing, that whatever you feed is where you're going to be focusing. So quit feeding the negative, quit feeding the drama, quit feeding, the green-headed jealous monster. You have lots of things going right. Sometimes I know we can get into such a pit, and sometimes we take all that crap that's going on in our life and the negative thing that's kind of making us feel like we're going under, and we treat it like a pet. And we sit and stroke that thing, and we sit and stroke that thing, and it's awful, and it's not doing well for us, and we sit and stroke it, and it becomes kind of our thing that we cling to, and we need to chuck it, and we need to chuck it to move on from there. And so that's a word for someone. I love you guys. So bless you as you watch the eclipse today, right? I hope all of your retinas are fantastic and you've got the right glasses, and I don't even know, my mom got me glasses, so I'll be heading outside to check it out since we are in that path of totality. And there we go. Now I'm getting phone calls coming in. That's a good sign that I need to stop. So bless you guys. We'll talk soon, okay? All right. Bye-bye.